Welcome to the Wedding Workflow Podcast, the show for wedding professionals, engaged couples, or anyone involved in the wedding world. We'll be talking about everything from picking a venue, what to look for in a photographer, how to work with your DJ to get people on the dance floor, and how to handle all the craziness of planning a wedding. We hope you get something valuable from our show and our guests, and invite you to join us every Wednesday here at the Wedding Workflow Podcast. All right.
What is up, everybody?
We are here. We are in a new studio.
Oh yeah,
From
is this
the
the
last,
first one?
I think this is the first one of the
new
last
studio,
the new spot.
Yeah.
So we are joined today by Emily of Emily Warfield Photography.
Oh yes, thank you, Emily.
Hi,
for being
friends.
here. Oh, oh man, you got the special
Got some
effects now.
applause.
Wow,
That
was very
we're really
cool.
going up another
Oh
level.
yeah. But no. So yeah, we are excited for you to be on here. We've stopped and started this podcast quite a few times, and so we're trying to get back in a groove.
Yeah, we're back. We're
Yeah.
back at it.
Yeah.
We're back at it.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys asking me to come on. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like something about Emily. Like we just started putting together. It's like wow, we just like do a lot of weddings with Emily.
Yeah.
We just really share the same couple
Yeah.
very
Every
frequently
weekend,
throughout a
let's
year.
go.
Yeah.
It was like for like a little bit there. We were like, I was like, I think I saw you like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, I
And-
think it was like 3 weddings
Yeah.
almost in a row. We were like, wait, hey.
That is
Yeah.
so crazy.
And it's always fun, like working with the same people, like pretty often. Like this year, especially, I've worked with like a lot of the same photographers,
Mhm.
a lot of the same like coordinators, and like it's always nice because I'm like,
That's so cool.
it's gonna be a cool day.
Yeah. Especially because it's just easier when like you know you work well with other vendors
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I don't have to stress. Like
Yeah.
he's not gonna start the reception without me type.
Yeah.
Thing, so.
Yeah. It really just lets you like, whew,
Like,
a little breathe.
relax.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I feel like you just have more fun, and you're able to like work with you're able to like have more confidence, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, yeah. Especially because like if it's a stranger, sometimes you just never know what you're gonna get. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, for the most part, people are good, but sometimes it's not. You know, sometimes personalities aren't
When it's bad, it's bad.
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's like, yeah, because I feel like, I mean, as a DJ, I don't really, like, I feel like DJs a lot of times get the bad rap. Like, you run into more bad DJs than, like, bad photographers sometimes.
Honestly,
Or maybe not. I don't
this
know.
trend has been videographers.
Oh,
This
yeah.
year I've
Really?
had a lot of headbuttings with
Really?
videographers.
Mm.
So
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Like the photographers and videographers will kind of like clash a little bit. Like
kind of, and like, I mean, you guys have worked with me. I'm so respectful. I make sure that like our
Yeah.
timelines are the same. We
Yeah.
can communicate. And I went to a conference, and like that really put forth like make sure other vendors like
yeah.
you work well, communicate. So I've been like trying to reach out to videographers beforehand, being like, hey, this is the timeline I have. Is there anything you need me to add in?
Mm.
Like you get your shot, and then we'll kind of go back and forth. But sometimes they just don't even want to, like they don't respond, they don't
Oh
listen.
man.
And I'm like, they just get in my shots, and I try and work, like I said, back and forth. But it's just
Yeah.
been interesting this
Why do you
year.
think that is? Do you think that's because like you guys are basically sharing the same, like a lot of the same like shot like moments together, like side
Maybe.
side by side,
I
like
guess I haven't really put my thumb on it yet because I've worked with some amazing
yeah,
videographers this
it's
year.
weird.
too.
It's like competitive.
Yeah.
Right, but, like, we're both
For
trying
the
to capture the same
yeah,
thing.
You're on the
Yeah.
same team. What the heck?
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer video is just as important.
Mm.
Like,
yeah.
so I'm not trying to get in your shots and vice versa. It's just I don't know why people do it.
Yeah.
That
Sometimes
is-
they really just want the shot, and then it's like okay.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is odd.
Yeah.
But yeah, DJs. I mean, I probably only had 1 or 2 bad experiences,
Mm.
but that's
Yeah.
because I recommend like you guys. I
Well,
recommend
thank you.
my
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Because like we
Yeah.
are typically booked in the first like 5 vendors compared
True.
to you guys getting booked later. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because how do you think the order goes? Like, obviously venue first, but then
Oh,
what do you
yeah.
think? How do you feel like it goes after that? Do you feel like photography is kind of up there in the
I
next
think it's
thing?
like top 3. So
Okay.
I definitely like as a bride myself, I went venue, photographer, videographer, but that's just because I'm a vendor, so I know it. But
Mhm.
definitely, I feel like it's venue to secure your date, get everything
Yeah.
done. Catering's up there now too.
True. Yeah, catering is up there.
So I
Mhm.
feel like venue, catering, like video, photo,
Yeah.
is like, and then DJ. Like
Mm.
those
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like are the ones that people try and just get done.
Yeah,
really
for
quick.
sure. And everything else is just kind of like a luxury if you can
Yeah.
afford it or
Right.
budget allows and
Right.
stuff.
Like,
yeah.
oh, I have this
Then get
much for
done.
florals compared to 10 grand or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or the rest of the stuff that you like think of last minute. You're like, oh,
Photo
crap,
booth,
that's like in a
stuff
month.
like that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely booked my photo booth like 3 weeks before.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is a more of a last minute item, and
Mhm.
it seems like if the budget allows.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've seen it. You're like, we need favors. And photo booths, they're great for that.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
I genuinely think wedding favors are dead
Mm.
though,
Yeah.
because I haven't seen 'em.
100%. No.
These coasters are actually wedding favors from a wedding.
Really?
And they're
That's so
actually
funny.
like tiles from like
Dude,
flooring
Dude,
tiles.
these are
Tiles
actually pretty nice.
that
I was
someone
gonna
used.
say.
Dude, these are like really solid
They're-
coasters.
they're
dude.
dope. I've broken a couple on though, because like I'd accidentally sat like a mug down too hard,
Oh.
and it cracks the whole thing, and I was like, wow.
Was there a lot left over?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like some people, like they don't make it known that they're favors. Like if I see somebody like there's favors like on the like a photo table or something, I always like try to make sure like towards the end of the night, I'm like, oh, I should like let people know, like take these
Yeah.
home,
Right.
or if they like want their desserts gone, like
Yeah.
and they have those little boxes, I'll be
Mhm.
like, make sure you guys
That's what I
take
feel
some
about wedding
cookies.
favors too. Like
Mm.
even if you announce it, like just seems like people don't always take them, and a lot of it goes wasted.
It's like
Mhm.
an extra grand you spent doing that you could
Yeah.
have saved
Yeah.
that people just get left on the table.
Or the DJ ends up with them.
Right. Or
Yeah,
Adam
yeah,
goes home
right.
with a
Or-
million little
yeah.
coasters.
Yeah. Or like a few boxes of cannolis. That was like
Yeah.
my favorite thing
That's
this
cool.
summer. That was the
Mhm.
best.
What do you feel like people used to do as favors? Like what was common? Like, or I don't know. I feel like I really feel like since I've done weddings, I have never seen like commonly seen like wedding favors very
Yeah.
often.
I've seen a lot
Um,
of shot glasses this year, like customized
Oh,
shot
yeah.
glasses,
Yeah.
koozies. Those
Koozies
are
are
cool though
popular.
because then you actually want to take those home.
Yeah,
But
true.
like,
I have a ton of those too.
Yeah. like before, it was like just candles or matches or like little cookie bags.
Oh, I have seen the
Yeah.
matches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the matches. For
Nothing
sure.
like you're like, oh, I should take that home.
Which is kind of yeah.
But
Yeah, I had at one wedding a few weeks ago. They had like little, those like they're like hot chocolate bath bombs.
yeah.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I ended up with a few of them, and they like exploded in my car,
No.
like on the drive home. And I like got home, and I was like, oh no,
Oh
Hot chocolate
gosh.
everywhere.
just powder.
Oh
just-
man.
Yeah, that was fun.
Jeez. So tell us about yourself. Like how long have you been doing photography?
Oh boy. I've been doing photography since I was a sophomore in high school. I
Oh,
can't
wow.
even tell you how long ago that was, but
Nice.
like weddings in particular since 2018.
Cool.
So I went to college for it.
Oh, nice.
Initially thought I just wanted to do food photography because, they showed up, they didn't back talk me. How is a cannoli going to back talk me?
Yeah.
But it was just boring because I'm very much like a people person. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I can't just be in a studio by myself all day.
Yeah.
I need to talk.
Taking,
and that's how I fell in
taking
love
shots
with
of
weddings.
food.
Yeah.
Just alone.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like the food led me to like be able to do the good detail shots and like
Oh,
set all
yeah.
Oh
those
yeah,
up,
definitely like
so-
setups and lighting
Mhm.
and all that fun.
Yeah.
So
That's gotta be pretty detail oriented to do something like that.
it is, yeah. And then it's like you just seeing all the things come together, like the invitations or the shoes, and if it's placed the wrong way. And
Yeah.
I'm OCD, so I have to make sure it's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing about wedding photography is that you have to be good at several different styles. Like that's one thing. Like I feel like not a lot of people that don't do photography know is
Mhm.
that like you have to be good at portraits. You got to be good at those detail shots. You got to be good at landscapes. You have to work with like ever changing lighting and weather conditions,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
which is always fun.
Yeah. Always when the sun decides to come out right when you had your settings for cloudy, and it's like, oh my gosh.
You're like,
But-
now the light's super harsh, and I gotta.
right. You got to change it like that. But
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh wow. So so you've been doing it for a while then.
a little
That's great.
bit. Yeah. I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
full time since I got out of college 2 years ago.
Oh cool. Okay.
So I would honestly say probably like the past 2 years have been
yeah.
full go, but I've been doing it for a while. So.
Oh, that's
And
great.
what kind of cameras you shooting on?
So I just made the switch to mirrorless this year. Don't know how I
Nice.
feel about it yet. But I've started on my D850, which is like the big workhorse Nikon DSLR, and then I went to the Z6 II Nikon.
Yeah.
And I like it. It's easy. It's just I'm still learning the colors, and
Mhm.
I don't think
Yeah.
people realize the big difference between like DSLR colors and
Oh, yeah.
mirrorless colors. It's like holy crap! You have to relearn to edit everything.
Yep.
So
And everything's a little bit more expensive. like
Mhm.
the glass, the like filters, all the fun. Yeah, it's
yeah.
Do Do you have like kind of
batteries.
like a style? Like, how would you like categorize your
boy.
style? If
Everyone
you had
asks
to?
me this, and I have no idea how. I would probably say I'm like the perfect in between. I am not
Cool.
light and airy, but I'm not dark and moody.
Yeah.
But I'm also not true to color. So it's really hard for me to describe.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's more of a emotional, a little bit more moody,
Mm.
but also not like super, super dark.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just capturing the two as
Yeah,
is.
I like that.
As it's happening with a
Yeah.
little bit of spunk. So
Yeah.
that's the best way for me to describe it.
Hey, that sounds really cool.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, your
Yeah.
pictures are beautiful, so
Thank you.
you do a very nice job.
Thanks. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And I'm a big fan of like punchy colors. Like I don't hate it, but like when I'm not a big muted kind of color
Mhm.
guy. Like when I see weddings where like they strip all the color out,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, they would.
Right.
All right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they
I
paid
like-
for the
yeah.
flowers to be that color.
Yeah.
now
Right,
it's like
yeah,
gray.
Yeah.
So I like how you incorporate a little bit of everything
Mhm.
into it. That's really cool.
It's different because I really did for the first couple years. I'm like, okay, let me try editing light and airy. Let me try editing dark and moody. Let me try this new orange filmy look.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm trying to be like other people. So I'm
Yeah.
like, no, we're just going to scratch everything. And I made my own thing. So
Yeah.
we're rolling with it and it's working.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's good.
that's-
It's good to have
really
like your
cool.
signature style,
Mhm.
and that way like people can, when they see the photo, like as they get to know like your photography, it becomes more of like, oh, I know that's Emily's like work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I like that because I feel like it would be easy just to try to like, you see other people doing this style, so let me just do that or whatever. So I feel like that's kind of like, that takes some guts to like go out and like do your own.
Yeah,
something
it
that's
definitely
very
took
unique
me
to
a
you.
while. But I'm also thinking too, I'm like, okay, light and airy might never be like out of style, but like that orange and grain in 5 years, that might be
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh,
Yeah. Like,
what were people
whoa.
doing?
Yeah.
So I also want my brides to have like these timeless photos in a way that like I
Yeah,
know
I
that
like
style's
that.
not going to go out.
That's a cool way of thinking about it for sure. Like,
Mm.
because light and airy's always been a thing.
Yeah,
right?
like that's never going to go away.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
those really drastic, like trendy styles
Yeah.
Yeah.
that.
How
like,
how long ago do you feel like that trend started?
Probably with the whole boho wedding thing. So like I
Okay.
feel like last year into this year, I don't think it's kind of going away. But like,
Really?
I know boho was huge last year,
Yeah.
and I think it just kind of tried to match that.
Yeah. When it
Style.
goes away, does the trends usually go back to like always resort back to the light and airy, like as like
I
a
don't
baseline,
know,
or?
because like all of the photographers I look up to that have shot that style, like they're still rocking with it, and their work is gorgeous. Don't
Yeah,
get me
yeah.
wrong, but I've just noticed like it no longer applies to the boho theme weddings. If that
Oh,
makes sense.
okay,
Like
yeah.
now that you're putting this like orange and really like film like thing on top of, say, I don't know, the old courthouse in Cleveland,
Yeah.
and it's like this pure white flowers, like
Yeah,
really
yeah,
elegant.
it
It's
doesn't
like
match, yeah.
it doesn't match.
Mm.
So
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if it would be like back to light and airy. I think maybe just different brides choosing different styles because
Yeah.
of the way they want their wedding.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm. And what are some photographers that you like look up to, or that are like inspirations for you?
Oh boy. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with Swidrak. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's
I don't
really
think
big
so.
in Cleveland. He's
Okay.
so good at like
Mm.
posing. Kristen Jones is awesome. She's like, I don't even know where she's at. Like all these people I follow are like probably from all over.
Yeah.
Mm.
But the one person I look up to probably the most is, I think her name, I know it's Maddie. I think her last name's Wanger or something like that. She's in Texas.
Mm.
Cool.
And like I love bull riding. So she would do all of like the bull riders' wives, like all the Western like people stuff.
Whoa,
so it just-
that's so cool.
it's like a weird connection, but that's how I found her. And like,
Wait, you're into bull riding?
oh, I love it.
Wait, really?
I've
Oh
been
my
to,
gosh, I
like-
have never met
Yeah.
someone that's
That's
like
awesome.
bull riding before.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We've been to like the World Finals in Vegas. Like
Really?
big rodeo girl. So
Oh,
Wow.
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Would you ever run with the bulls in Spain?
maybe I've been on a bull.
You
so
rode a bull?
I not for like 8 seconds, but I've been on top of a bucking bull.
No joke.
You're like,
oh my
I've
gosh.
read the bull.
This is so cool. I've never met anyone that's been on a bull.
That is
That's
awesome.
Like
Yeah.
that's like a
It was
bucket
kind of
list item.
scary, but yeah, exactly. But yeah, she's probably who I look up to the most, just because like following her, and she's just such a genuine person, and
Mm.
like all of her work is so genuine. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could shoot like you. But
That's cool.
those are probably my top 3 that
That's
I really
really
look
cool.
at.
Yeah.
And then like a bunch of locals, like Alan Chavez, he's awesome.
Oh yeah. Mm.
Emily Hartman, who you shot with,
Yeah.
she's amazing. Who else? The Cannons, I'm trying to think. Ashley McComb is a fantastic videographer. I look up to her in just a different sense, but
yeah.
I'm trying to think who else locally. Oh boy, there's so many.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that really come to mind that really just
Yeah.
inspire me.
Yeah,
so.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So do you work? Because I know you second shoot. Also, do you have a couple people that are like your go-to second shooters?
Yeah, so Julia Moser, she owns JMO Photography. She's pretty much like my go-to girl. It used to be Emily Hartman, but now she's like flying with the stars.
Oh, there you go.
I'm like so dang proud of her. But yeah, Julia Moser, she works with me a lot. And then Amanda Teresa Photography works with me a lot. I work for her a lot. Just like a bunch of mutual friends, like, hey, you're free this weekend. Can you help? Like those
That's
types
cool.
of things. So,
Yeah.
But Julia is definitely, I think she's on like 15 of my 25 weddings with me next year. So
Oh, wow,
she's
there
my
you go.
Oh,
go-to.
nice,
Yep.
nice.
And she worked with her at Briley and Josh's wedding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she was with me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, she was fun.
Cool. Do you always have a second shooter with you?
If they book one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Do you prefer being like having one with you, or do you use it?
it depends. If it's like a smaller wedding, I'm more than manageable to do it myself.
Yeah.
But like if it's a bigger wedding where I know like, okay, the groom's getting ready here, the bride's getting ready there, and the ceremony's in a totally different spot, I just like having that security that I don't
yeah.
have to be like
You
a
don't have
chicken
to
with
try
a
to
head
run
cut off.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Right.
sure.
So, and then plus like I get awkward if I don't know any other vendors. So it's nice to have that one person you know to like eat dinner
Yeah.
with or
Yeah.
For
something.
sure. For
So-
sure.
Eat in the corner with.
Right. Or
Yeah.
in the mop closet just eating by myself. Yeah.
That's all. They always put you in the weirdest places at weddings.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
The nice thing about being a DJ is like you have a table.
You have a table.
So
yeah.
if like worst comes to worst, you're at least like back there like. I
But yeah,
my own
everybody
little
else
world.
does not have a table.
But,
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's a couple times like where they just don't have a spot and like I'll invite the photographers. I'm like, just come hang out with me
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we'll share this.
I always try to like move my stuff
Yeah.
over. I'm like, we can do this.
like we'll make it work, or go outside do
Yeah,
like
you
a
guys have that security blanket.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is nice having a booth because like I feel
Yes.
it's my safe spot at
Yeah.
weddings.
And
So,
no
like,
one's staring at you. I
Yeah.
feel like every time like vendors go to sit down to eat, they're all like, "Why are they sitting down?"
yeah,
And I'm like, "I'm a human. I need to eat."
you're like I require food.
right.
I'm running around.
She's not taking pictures of other people eating.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest pet
Yeah.
peeves is when like I've only ever had to happen at like once. So I'm like, "Why are you not taking pictures?" I'm like, "You want pictures of people shoving their
Yeah,
faces with
shoving food into their
Yeah,
face.
that's so.
no,
that'd
like
be
I'm
so
not
weird.
gonna do that to
Like,
them."
like the only ones that I feel like you would really want is maybe like a couple of people grabbing your desserts,
Yeah.
but that's about it. Like
Right.
you don't want people eating like lasagna
No,
No,
that's
that's
or chicken or
weird.
something. Like,
Yeah, that's,
and those people don't want to see themselves on like your Facebook
yeah,
album.
Ain't nobody trying to do all that. No.
mouthful, and you're just like, "No, I couldn't."
Yeah,
Right.
it's. Did you hear about? I think it was it earlier this year where that girl, she got hired by her friends to like photograph a wedding, and they like would not let her eat, and she got fed up and like deleted all of
yeah,
their
I did hear
photos.
about that.
Whoa.
Have you heard about that?
No,
It was the
that's
craziest
crazy.
thing. I was like, that's savage.
That is. I
Whoa.
mean, I probably would be just as
Yeah.
upset, but I couldn't bring myself to be like, "All right, your day is gone.
That's
Yeah,
Take
like-
that." Just because you didn't feed me, I'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna leave." But
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll talk
that's
about
so
this
crazy.
later once I cool down. Like,
right, right. Like instead of just
Yeah.
deleting them in front, like, oh,
yeah.
or maybe she didn't. Like, did she delete all the cards?
Yeah, she like went up to him and was like, "Hey, since you're not like letting me sit down or in like eat or anything, like here." And I think she deleted them in front of them and like just bounced.
That is
my
a
God.
I was
savage
like, wow,
move right
that's
there.
hardcore.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's intense.
Especially as like a friend too. Like,
yeah. I'm like, sometimes it's hard when like a friend asks you to do something in a
definitely.
like in that kind of aspect. You're like, oh man, like the friendship is on the line too.
Yeah.
Adds like another level of complexity to the already like complex day.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just, ooh, unwanted drama.
Yeah, it was crazy, but
Jesus.
anyways.
Yeah.
But you've done destination weddings too, right?
Just got home from Cabo last week.
That's crazy.
That's
That's,
cra-
something I've
yeah.
always been so jealous of. I feel like photographers get all the cool, like they get to
Yeah.
like, do destination weddings. So like,
Yeah, it was the first to be like in an international situation, and like
how does it? Okay, like how does this happen? Like, how does one even go about getting a
I don't
destination
know.
wedding?
Like that's my
Instagram.
honest answer. Is like I genuinely don't know for like international. It just kind of happened. Like I attend a lot of styled shoots to like further my education, further my posing skills, and just better myself. And the couple that I had in Cabo was actually a part of like a styled shoot I attended.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, the more we're looking at this resort photographer, we don't like that it's inconsistent and that it's just one random person. Like, we'd much rather bring you.
Mm.
They're like, would you want to trade? Like, you come, like, you and your husband will pay for your flights 5 days all inclusive if you just come and shoot this wedding. And I'm like,
You're like,
hell yeah, like
great.
sign me up.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're
So
like
that's
end of
how
a
that-
season vacation. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, so that's how that happened. And like while I'm shooting it, my husband's drinking margaritas, going down like water slides. I'm like, okay.
That's
But-
crazy.
That's awesome.
Definitely for like, I go out to Utah a lot. We'll do a lot of shoots out there. It's mainly just advertising. Like, you guys want to do those things? I mean, it's harder for DJs.
Yeah.
But I know your company does like video and photo too.
Yeah.
If you just attend like a styled shoot or a workshop out there, you have the content. So you
Yeah.
can be like, I've been here, hire me.
I know
That's
all
so
the cool
cool.
spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's how
Yeah.
I know, like in the United States, that's how I travel, because I've just been investing in myself and like pushing myself to get that content.
Yeah.
And two, like I reached out to a Utah wedding planner and I'm like, hey,
Oh yeah. That's
I will shoot one of your clients' wedding for free. And if it goes well and you like it, you have to guarantee me like to recommend me for like
Yeah.
at least a few more couples. And like, so that's in the works right now. I
Oh,
haven't
that's
landed a
cool.
wedding,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I'm like, okay, if
laying
it's
the groundwork.
right. It's like, okay, if I
Planting
can
the
do
seeds.
one for free in Utah or like wherever, Washington,
Yeah.
Nevada, and then you just get like a guaranteed on this person's recommendation list, like that's pretty cool. Like that's
Yeah.
worth
Oh yeah.
losing
Oh.
whatever one wedding
Oh,
costs.
absolutely.
Yeah. And you like, I think you mentioned to me like going to all the national
So
parks.
big national park junkie.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
obsessed. Yeah. So it's definitely just put yourself out there and invest in yourself just as much and like
Yeah.
advertise for those locations. Like if you look up my Google, it's not just Ohio.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
it spans all the way across. I serve everywhere.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I
that's
love
pretty
that.
sweet. Yeah, there is something weird. I just found it because my wife's best friend's getting married in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, first weekend of December
Okay.
in Florida, and their resort photographer situation is kind of weird. Like
Mhm.
they only give like 40 photos and they're unedited, and I was like, what?
The whole day?
Yeah, I was like, that's, and so I'm gonna be doing some video and like photos too. So I'm
Right.
like, oh, I'm gonna be there. I have my stuff, and like, yeah. So I was like, that's weird. Like
Imagine paying all that money to just
Yeah.
get 40 pictures they didn't even touch.
that are like raws or something. I'm like, what? It doesn't make any sense.
No thanks.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
You ever met photographers that give out the raw image?
Never. Not
yeah,
once.
I'm like, why would you do that?
I mean,
I've heard of a couple, and I'm like,
beginners
doesn't make
definitely
any
do.
sense. Yeah.
But they don't learn. Like, I definitely probably gave out things in the beginning of my career, not wedding related, but then I'm like looking at what they did to it, and then they still tag you. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
that is not my work.
You're like, no.
And that's how I learned really quick that I can't let other people alter my stuff and like
Mm.
give me credit. I'm like, oh, thanks for like letting me give the credit, but that's not what I did.
Oh,
So
wow. Yeah.
yeah, you learn quick.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about wedding schedules then for
Mhm.
photography, because I feel like your guys' schedule is pretty intensive. Obviously, like DJs have like, you know, their own schedule and everything, but the photography one starts way before we get started. So
Right.
yeah, I guess like what does that process look like? How do you work with your couples to create that timeline, and what are some important things that you feel like are in there?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll just go off like a typical 8-hour day, because that's probably 90% of people. So like once we sit down and we book and like go through all the consultation stuff, I typically send out a questionnaire like 3 to 4 months in advance of wedding day.
Okay.
That pretty much includes like ceremony location, venue location, where they're getting ready, all of that fine details, when your ceremony's starting, if you've talked with a DJ or band, when are your introductions, like
Yeah.
all the important stuff. So that way I just get all of that. And then in that meantime, between their like final call, which is typically like a month before, I'll like kind of draft this timeline. So that way it's kind of drafted for them already.
Yeah. Cool.
So I'd typically like I said, we had this meeting today for my Saturday bride. And I would love getting there probably like an hour and a half before she puts her dress on,
Okay.
just for me to do details. And like if it's all in one place, that's even better, because then I can do reception details or invitation details, dress, ceremony details. If it's in different spots, then typically we buffer in more time. But
Okay.
yeah, typically an hour and a half for me personally to do all those details, not have to worry about it doing it later, especially like reception spaces with people walking through them. And then we'll get her dress on. And then one of the huge things I love that I've noticed takes a big stressor off my couples is like doing their bridal party pictures pre-ceremony.
Oh, okay.
So like I'll take me and my girls and we'll go. And then my second, if I have them, will take the guys and
That's
go
cool.
do them. So that way, like cocktail hour, because normally that's crunch
That's
time.
got to save a lot of
Yeah.
time.
Right. So then you get married, cocktail hour, you just bam through the family list, and then all you have to do is the big group bridal party.
Yeah.
And then you get that 30 more minutes with the couple. So that's what I love to do during the timeline is pack that in. And if we can't, it's fine. We just
especially when the sun goes down at like 6 o'clock.
right, especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah. So since the sun does go down now, like, does that change? Like, depending on like what part of the year you shoot, like, does that affect anything?
A little bit. So thankfully, like, if I know the venue, I know, like, okay, I can shoot these portraits at this time because there's shade.
Oh, okay.
Or, like, because of the weather's like this. But I definitely, like, take the venue into, like, accommodation.
Yeah.
Like, I work at Peacock Ridge a lot.
Yeah.
I know we have a wedding there.
Peacock Ridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that place a lot.
I like it because
Yeah,
it's
a really
like
cool
5
place.
minutes from my house. It's the
yeah.
best venue.
It's awesome, but I know they don't have shade until, like, 2 p.m. So, like, knowing that factor, because I work there all the time, like, it definitely helps play into the if
Dang,
we
that's
can.
so cool that you know that. I feel like for any bride listening, like, that is such a huge advantage of like having somebody like you, that like pays attention to that and like is aware of like those things that like not anyone would just know.
Right.
That's like pretty cool.
Yeah. But it also at the same time, I guess, like, even if photographers don't know the venue, like, they'll be willing to go out of their way to make sure,
Yeah.
like, okay, this is going to work or whatever.
Yeah.
If I don't know a venue, especially church weddings, I try and attend the rehearsal just so I can talk to the priest, pastor, whoever,
Oh,
make
cool.
sure we're good, like, where my
Make sure
limitations
they move out of the
are.
way for the kiss.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And, like, honestly, I've noticed a big change in that too, is just showing like respect to churches will get you a lot more grace, because I've worked at churches where it's like, okay, you can't photograph past the last pew of guests. So I'm all the way in the back of the church trying to get in,
Yeah.
trying to get close-ups.
Oh, really?
And I have my long 70 to 200. And
Oh, so some venues have like
like
rules about that.
yeah, so that's why I'm like the respect thing. If you go to rehearsal, I've noticed, okay, you can move around, just don't come up on my altar. So especially with Catholic, that's what I'm referring to, like Catholic weddings.
Oh, okay.
It's like those restrictions
it's
are
like more serious, like where people can stand and stuff is a little bit more serious. Okay.
just because it is their mass.
Yeah.
And like their religion. So if you just show respect, even to venue owners,
Yeah.
the amount of things that you can do is insane.
Do you think that most photographers are going to the rehearsal, or is this something that you feel like is something that you like go a little bit more above and beyond that you do for your couples?
I think personally it's just a little bit above and beyond. I don't go to all of them.
Yeah.
I try my best, especially if I have double headers.
That's what I was thinking. It sounds like
Yeah.
definitely like an above and beyond
But-
thing that you do for your couples.
Yeah.
For sure.
And like I mentioned Ashley McComb earlier, she's a videographer. She came to my rehearsal.
Oh, cool.
And like that's when it really clicked for me. I'm like, wow, like I should really be doing this for my couples because of how that made me feel.
Yeah.
Like I know she cares because she came and made sure she had the right camera set up
Oh, wow.
and everything, and like that it's gonna be good like audio.
So that's cool. So even if you didn't like see the venue before, like you're still gonna go. Like there's a chance that you'll still probably go to the rehearsal, and then you're gonna see it all then and like
Right.
get your game plan.
right. So that way you're prepared, because like
Yeah.
not only is this the bride and groom's wedding photos, like this is my work that's gonna be put everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
yeah.
not every single picture is gonna be the best of my best, but I want to make sure like, okay, the sun's setting over here, so that means we can't have shadows coming this way or
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Well,
So-
that
You ever
offers a
use
great
the
peace of mind.
Sunseeker app? You ever-
no, I refuse to pay for it.
No, yeah.
I just use the good old.
Yeah, you're like,
Where's
where's
it gonna
where's it
go?
coming from?
Yeah. So I refuse to pay for it. I'm cheap.
What is one thing? I had a question. What's one thing in your gear that like is like unique that you feel like you could not do your job without, or it just
Boy.
makes it so much easier?
I don't know if it's unique, but like switching to mirrorless has made my life 10 times easier because the eye tracking on it is insane. Like I never miss focus now. I barely did before, but I'd have to manually move it. But the eye tracking on it and like looking in the back of camera and seeing the exposure instead of having to like, I know my settings, but like the luxury of just looking at it and being like, okay, I know this is what it, like as soon as I take the picture, that's what it's going to look like. So I don't know if that's not really unique, but that's definitely made my life
Oh,
easier.
that's cool.
And
And when you start using that?
July.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
So this
So,
is
like,
like real recent
recent,
then.
yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and the eye tracker, that's you look through the viewfinder and it'll like kind of see where you're looking.
No, like you could do
you mean
viewfinder
the eye-
and back of
okay.
screen. It literally just follow. Like I wish I brought my camera, but like
Yeah.
it just follows the person's eye.
Yeah,
Like walking down the aisle, and I don't have to worry
that's
about
awesome.
That's
it.
crazy.
Yeah, technological. It's
Yeah, technology.
crazy. It's crazy. But one thing that I'm really trying to get into is my second Julia uses like pantyhose over lenses,
Oh, okay.
and it creates this like gorgeous, like vintage feel, and it's
Really?
different. Like it's very artistic. So I'm like, I'm trying to learn how she does it. I don't know how she does it. She's so good at it.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
so
so
cool.
I think that's
I've never
like a
seen
unique
that.
thing. I'm trying to just different
Like
things.
different filter, like weird, like
Yeah,
kind of
like
make things interesting.
right, like plastic bag. If you put it over
Yep.
top of a lens, it like
Or like
distorts
saran wrap.
it.
I've
Right.
seen that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's
Oh
like
wow, that's really cool.
different things, and we're trying to get there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Yeah.
have anything
Use
like,
it any,
super
like,
unique.
The
prisms or
pantyhose
any-
thing's pretty cool. I
I
bet
mean,
that
yeah.
would look pretty neat.
Oh, the prisms.
like a,
I've used them before.
yeah.
I don't personally like them, but that's just because like I don't know. Like yes, I'm artsy, but I try and get artsy in the emotion through my poses,
Yeah.
and not with like the cool like oh now there's 6 of you
Yeah.
type situation going
Like,
on.
it's a
So-
kaleidoscope.
right. Yeah.
Oh, so people like put like a prism in front of the.
Yeah, like
Okay.
a little crystal looking thing,
Mhm.
and
It's cool.
You can do like kind of like weird stuff with it, and like the light hits it.
Oh, that's
like,
interesting.
get some cool flares.
it's definitely cool. I tried it. I'm like, this doesn't
Yeah.
really match my
The
my
vibe.
style. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's cool though. Yeah, there's a lot of weird. Like I know there's a company called Prism Lens Effects where you can
Mhm.
find like screw on lens like filters that like have weird stuff to them.
right.
Like,
Right.
yeah.
So how do you feel about sunset photos? Is that something that you try to do with your couples, or is that like a hit or miss type thing?
So that's one thing I'm very strong. Like I feel strongly about is I feel like every couple should. If you're not gonna have a sunset, that's one thing. Like if it's a typical crappy Ohio day,
Yeah.
It's gray.
That's
and
fine.
Nothing.
but typically because we're trying to get all these portraits done before entrances, and especially July or June weddings when the sun doesn't set till 9,
Yeah.
it's really hard because you don't have that good light, I should say. But then sunset comes and that's just another minute too, like not just for us to get some really killer photos, but also for the bride and groom to just kind of sneak away and have a few minutes for themselves. So like I feel like every couple should do it, but then again, if it's not a priority, like
Yeah.
it's not a priority for them. But like I said, really in the summertime, that's when I push it the most because
Yeah.
sometimes that light is harsh and like the portraits are still gorgeous, but if you can just throw in that extra good light, it just
Yeah.
makes everything like come
Yeah.
together. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I do think those sunset pictures are beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially with the lighting and everything. So, and I like what you said though about like the bride and groom taking a time, to themselves, even if it's just a short bit,
right.
removing themselves from such a busy, because it's nonstop talking for
Oh my
them. I mean, it
gosh.
just like you're never stop talking. So
My mom pointed out on our wedding day, she's like, isn't it crazy how the day meant to bring you two together, like everyone's taking you apart to like
Yeah.
talk to you. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Like looking back, I didn't think I got like 5 minutes with just me and my husband
Yeah.
without someone else there. And I'm like, dang, like I wish. And
It
that's
is
another
pretty
thing
crazy.
I build into timelines is like,
Mm.
okay, if you do a first look, I'm gonna give you 10 minutes after that with just you two.
Yeah.
You have all these emotions pumping. Like you don't need a photographer or videographer sticking a lens in your face. Like just
I
take
like
the
that.
time.
Yeah.
So that's what I push really hard now. Since I experienced it firsthand, I'm like, dang, like we
Yeah.
didn't get
Yeah.
that.
You're
Oh,
like
yeah.
pulled in something, and then people like follow you around. The
For
For
Right.
real,
and they're
yeah,
like,
it's insane.
they're like, let me get 1 million crappy iPhone photos.
Right, or like
You're
as soon
oh
as
my
the
God.
ceremony's over
Yeah.
and like and now it's time for family and people are trying to make like this huge talking line, I'm like, okay, no, we don't have time for this.
Yeah, yeah.
I had
Save
one
it for
couple
reception.
recently where they like it was a like they started their wedding at like 3 and they were done by like 8:30 or 9, and so the timeline already was very condensed.
Mm-hmm.
And by dinner, like their photographer took them out, and it took a lot longer than they thought. And then they came back, their food was like cold on, and then like as they were trying to eat, like people just kept coming up and like taking iPhone photos with them,
Oh,
and
gosh.
I'm like, just let them eat. Like,
Literally.
one, we have things we got to get to,
Oh, I
and
feel
two,
so bad when they're trying to eat. That is like
Yeah.
that's the time I'm like, wow, like no,
Yeah,
not of
like,
all times.
let
like,
them eat, and then if they have time, they'll come around table by
Right,
table.
right. And that's another thing going
Yeah.
off Sunset that I make sure works with DJs. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to have make sure they eat, obviously. I
Mm.
never interrupt that because they probably didn't eat that day.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
so crucial they do. But like also just making sure that going back to the communication, I'm like, hey, if I pull them out, is this going to affect anything on your timeline?
Mm.
Yeah.
So like that's another huge thing. Like going back to the timeline situation after 6 p.m., I leave that completely up to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be like, all right, I'll email your DJ, or if you talk to them, just let me know what reception timeline is. Works for me. The only
Yeah.
thing I need is sunset pictures. So
Yeah, and maybe like a couple, some dance shots, but
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
like that's your expertise.
Mm.
Like yeah, I'll have my input, but That's what I leave up to you for timeline situations.
And we put a really big emphasis, and something that I feel really strongly about is like having a quality timeline. I think is a huge deal. No matter who your vendor is, like making sure that like that's something that they can offer and provide. Because I've done some weddings where even the person like at the venue was like, oh wow, like, oh, it's great you have like a timeline. Like our last 2 days didn't even have any, and it's just like I don't know how you can roll like that, but definitely like check to make sure your vendor's going to offer that, and photography and all that, so that they're not just like winging it. Like there really is like a detailed plan. I think it's really important. It's something I've always felt strongly about. I always
try to print mine out and like pass them to people.
That's what I love about working with you guys, because I worked with a TJ this year, and like I went up to him, typical, like I always do, be like, hey, I'm gonna pull him out for sunset at this time. Does that interfere with anything you have? And he pulls out this notepad, and it's just all like, I mean, handwritten, okay, if that works better for you, but I'm talking like filled completely. And he took like 10 minutes to flip through and find all their stuff. So I'm like, how do you not have this bookmarked or just like typed up and like saved? And like, I don't know, because I work on timelines, like I know the time of everything. Just by heart. So the fact that it took him so long, that's why I love when like you're like, hey, here's my timeline, and then you give me a physical copy, like that helps like, so much.
And I think another thing is like being flexible, because like some things inevitably are going to take longer, or like a couple times this year we were like way ahead of schedule. I was like, this is actually like weird. We're usually like trying to catch up. So yeah, but
I think it's such a peace of mind for the couple too, and I think it's important because then it gives like assurance to the couple that like their day will go the way that they want it to. I think that's really important. Like there's no like surprise, it's just like they're assured that like it's going to transition, even though it might fall off schedule, that like it's a priority to get those certain things done that they want to get done.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And like I feel like too, couples definitely see how vendors work together, and like if you put forth the effort just to give photographers a printed timeline, they'll be like, oh wow, they really considered. Like, don't get me wrong, every couple picks up on that, even if you don't think so, they definitely do. So it definitely helps when, just like I said, mutual respect. It goes a long way.
And I really encourage. I think that couples before hiring a vendor should really maybe ask that question, just if in case, unless it was told to them at a time, just like will you be able to, are you going to be taking care of my timeline and stuff like that? I think that's a really important question to ask.
Yeah, and I always ask like in meetings, like when is your photographer like scheduled to leave? Because I try to make sure we hit all those things they want.
That's such
before
a big
they have to take off,
That's so big, I think that's so important to know when the photographer is leaving. That affects a lot of things.
Oh, definitely, because especially if they want like, okay, I know bouquet and garter's not that common anymore, but like if they want those captured, but have them at like 9:30 and we're leaving at 9, then it's like
a lot of times there's a gap between the initial format, like first dance and mother son, and then the bouquet and garter toss. There's that huge gap, but that gap might be too big to where like the photographer's not there anymore.
Right. Like I remember we were doing, I don't even know if like the shoe game was a last minute addition, but we were like scrambling. I'm like, hey, I'm leaving in 10 minutes, and he's like, oh well, we still have to do this, and I'm like, did they just add that? But like, so that's why it helps, because then we don't have to like worry about that. I mean, it's a shoe game, it's not as important as dances, but it definitely like
but still, if that might be, and I think sometimes it's like a honest mistake, like or innocent, like the couple doesn't thinking about they just didn't put together,
and they're like, oh wait, let's do this last minute, and we're like, okay, you have to do it 10 minutes.
We gotta do it now.
Right.
But that's why it makes a big difference, like when your vendors are in tune and intentional about that, because they can help catch that for you.
Oh, definitely. I know a lot of people that have been like, no, I'm done. Like I'm clocked out. Like it's over. We're not staying for that.
Yeah, I'm in my car. See ya. It's sometimes you're like it's a weird thing, because you're like, well, I have been here, I was here till this point, but like being able to catch that, I think a lot of time, like especially being a DJ, like I'm like, all right, like they're leaving at this point. I need to make sure, like if we are having a gap, like it's half an hour or something like that.
Yeah, and I really feel like the DJ photographer relationship is so important for so many different reasons, and that is one of them. But it's so important that the DJ and photographer, like I feel like the DJ and photographer work together more than like what a couple would assume or expect for that day. And I do feel like that relationship's really important the day of, because a lot of the decisions like that the photographer has to make or DJ makes would like affect each other. Like if the photographer is taking someone for sunset photos, and you don't even really know about it. And then like that was supposed to be their first dance. Now it throws you in a jam, or like if the DJ, fast forward, or like I think a common thing is like a DJ will start the dances like after dinner without ever letting the photographer know that this is happening, leaving them in a scramble.
You're like mid-bite, and now you're trying to get your gear back on.
Yeah, I always try to make sure everybody is like ready with cameras in their hands.
Yeah, but those little things could be like make it or break it moments of like getting a shot or not. So
and another thing too that like just working with you guys I've found is amazing. Like pre-ceremony, like I like to get myself set up, but like we'll give each other hand signals, be like, hey, you ready?
Yeah.
And, like that is huge because half the time they just start and we're like not prepared. And I'm like yeah, we're prepared in a sense, but at the same time we're like, just let us know so that way we can make sure we're ready.
Yeah.
It's huge.
The start of a ceremony is always the most like nerve-wracking part.
Dude, that's a tense moment, man.
Like this last weekend, it was the craziest wedding I had because it was not supposed to rain at all, and then it like we were looking at the forecast and it was gonna rain right when the wedding started, like the ceremony started, and so we were like under pavilion, but it was like windy and the rain was coming crazy, and then we were like, all right, like let's get this thing rolling. I had to go get an umbrella to cover the equipment.
Oh man!
And then as the bride was walking down, somebody sat on their keys and set off their car alarm. And then the officiant was sick, so they had like a last minute officiant too. So we were getting,
Out of curiosity, if it does rain, I've always been curious, like how does that affect a photographer?
If it's outside, thank the Lords, I've only had it rain in one wedding this year.
Yeah,
knock on wood.
Ironically, at Peacock Ridge, and like. Thankfully, they have huge umbrellas. Another reason why I love this venue is they just supply umbrellas for everyone. So I pretty much just had my second hold over me because it was the same situation. Like, there was no rain forecasted. And then all of a sudden, this huge storm rolled in. But normally, I have like my rain covers and everything. So it's the only wedding, like I said, knock on wood, that I've shot where it's rained. And if it does, I take that back. It rained at my August 20th wedding. But it wasn't anything crazy. I put a clear umbrella over them. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with those two.
Does it actually create like cool pictures?
It was like,
if it does rain,
gorgeous. I'll show you. It like so stinking pretty. And ironically, for that same couple had rained for their engagement session.
Oh so wow, that's kind of cool.
We kind of had like the same picture, but like recreated.
Was there any rainbows?
No, it was cloudy. It's so high.
There was a double rainbow on Saturday. So at least I got a couple pictures with rainbow in the background.
Let's see if I can.
Like, hey, man,
that's like, really cool, dude.
Oh, look how dreamy.
Oh, that is awesome.
So it wasn't anything. Wow. It wasn't raining like hard for me to be worried.
Good.
So we just kind of threw an umbrella on us and didn't worry about it.
That's a beautiful picture. That's really nice.
Yeah. I always carry an umbrella and like a rain jacket in my car every wedding.
I have like 5 bubble umbrellas in my car at all times. So just for that reason.
Someone's revving the engine. What's one big piece of advice when it comes to photography for couples? Like when they're looking for a photographer, when they're like talking to photographers, like what's one big thing that you would suggest for them to follow?
One thing that I'm like really passionate about is, yes, you can love someone's style and you can not love the person. So one thing that I always tell my couples, I'm like, you can love my style, but I'm not going to be offended if we don't mesh. You should always mesh 100% with your vendors. Just have that good connection, because if you don't, who knows how your day is going to go.
Yeah.
Like if you don't get along, like you don't have to agree on all your values or whatever. Like you don't have to become best friends, but like you have to make sure that it's easy to talk to. They're willing to listen to you, and like, that's just a bonus if you like their style. Like you have to like them as a person. Same thing with a DJ. Same thing with a videographer, florist, anyone. Like you should genuinely love that person just as much as their work. Yeah. Because it makes things 10 times easier. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice is like, it's okay if you like after your consultation and after really falling in love with like their Instagram or something and you're like, dang, like we're not feeling that photographer anymore. Yeah. Like, that is okay. Like it's your wedding day.
And I'll tell you from experience, that's the one thing my wife always talks about is that she did not like her photographer.
You guys did kind of a horror story.
Yeah, like there was photos missing, like couple of photos, like when we did like, you know, like all the bridesmaids and groomsmen like together and stuff. She was just, there was just like couples that were missing, and we were like, we tried to get it, and she was like, I don't understand. and she had them, but
She
for
just
some
wouldn't
reason
give
it
them
took
to
her
you?
for like 3 months to give them to us. So
Dude, how long did it take you to
was
get
crazy.
your whole picture back? Wasn't it almost
it
like
was
a
like,
year?
nah, it was like 4 or 5 months.
Oh my lord.
So it was a
Still.
little long, yeah.
it's a
But
long
yeah, my
time.
wife was like, I just didn't like. She liked her style. There was some things she didn't like about how she edited them. Like she like expected, like her style, and like they were a little darker than what what we saw.
Mhm.
But just her personality, like she was like, they did not mesh well
Right.
together.
And
and you
that made a
spend the whole
difference.
day with the photographer for
Exactly.
the most part,
Exactly.
So.
Like besides your the couple itself, the bride and groom or groom or whatever, like you're with your photographer, videographer all day. So imagine if you don't like them as a
Yeah.
person. I'm like, that would be awful. That'd be like spending a day with someone
Yeah.
you
And then
grew
your
up in high school
photographer.
that bullied you or something. Like,
For sure.
Yeah, then your photographer all day is like, do these people not like me?
right.
And they're very like self-conscious.
and then it creates that weird energy, and it could put the couple in a bad mood. It could put the vendors in a bad mood. Not that it happens, but I mean, you're allowed to be picky, I guess, like when it comes to these vendors, because it's huge. Like, yeah, you should look at price point, style, what they offer you, but like genuinely as a person, is that going to flow?
Yeah.
So,
because you will think about because I feel like your memories on that day are like heightened. Like you're like remember every like little weird annoying thing that happened. Like, oh, my train and my dress kept falling off. Like, when I was dancing, like because they never make those clips secure enough for some reason.
right. And like I gelled so well with like my wedding photographer, and that was the hardest vendor to choose because I'm a wedding photographer. But I can't even like Emily Richards. She moved to Texas.
Oh yeah,
Sad
Emily Richards
face.
is awesome.
She's awesome.
Yeah, we've done so many weddings together.
But like
she was on this podcast actually a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had her on here.
I love her.
Look at
She's
that.
awesome. Another one I look up to. Shout out Emily. But like you were saying, I have nothing but fond memories of her.
And she gets on the dance floor too.
Oh my gosh, she's the best. Like literally, like I don't drink at weddings just because I'm weird about it and I don't really drink in general. But like she was partying with us, and I'm like, yes, girl, like stay off the clock and just have fun. But like that's a huge difference. Is like photographers willing to have fun with you.
Yeah.
So exactly what you're saying. Like your wife didn't go along with the personality, but like her and I gelled so well.
Yeah.
So like that's just proving it right there. Like the photos were fantastic on top, and now I have a friend forever. So it's like win-win.
What are some things like, because recently you've had your wedding last year, like how's that affected your photography this year? Like did you like learn anything that day like where you're like, oh, like seeing it from a bride's perspective?
Yes, I definitely learned a lot, and I definitely changed the way I approach things. Like I said, just giving the couple a few more minutes to themselves, making sure that like I get what is on their must-have list, and just like double checking that throughout the day. Like, okay, they sent me this Pinterest board. They may not want everything, but I'm gonna try and give them everything. Just always making sure they have like a nice traditional picture of themselves looking at the camera. Because we didn't get that, but like no fault at all to Emily, because she's like, all right, I love this couple. We're gonna get creative, and I love my picture. So it, like I said, I don't care we didn't get that one, but that just made me think, okay, well, I'm going to do that for my couples and just make sure they get that standard, the one grandma's going to hang up on a wall type thing. Like, I didn't personally care about it. So just those things. But I feel like being a bride myself, like, I've always been a vendor. But now you see, like, what those brides, grooms, them, like, whatever they have to go through is kind of a different feel. So you definitely change your approach. You're a little bit more gracious with, like, if that meeting, my month of meeting doesn't happen the month out, it happens a week before, totally fine. Like, it happens. Like, as long as I know where I have to be the day of and when to do it, we're good.
Yeah, because there's so much that's just going through your mind that week of where you're like, oh, we forgot this, the weather's going to be like this. Like, there's so much running through your mind, and then you're like, oh, yeah, we got to meet with the photographer, with the DJ, like I haven't like stuff like that where you're like there's just so much going on in your mind.
I think like when I had my own wedding, that was a game changer. Like just seeing that and different things. Like I felt so great. Like I don't know, I always say it, but like I always thought to myself like, wow, like how does it like feel like so many people never get the DJ like the questionnaire done with like their songs and stuff. And then like Adam was like DJing my wedding. And we came and like we did not have it filled out, and I was like, "Wow, I get it now."
You're like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't get mad at them anymore."
Like I was like, "Oh wow, there's like a lot more going on."
Exactly. Just give yourself grace as a vendor, but giving your couples grace too. Like their life is crazy right now.
And you're like trying to get all, like, especially if you're taking that next week off, like you're planning a vacation on top of a wedding.
True.
Like,
True, yeah.
Along with like, okay, where am I getting my dress clean? Where is that going to stay? Like, who's going to get all our presents? Or
who's
like,
driving everybody everywhere? Like,
right. Like, who's cleaning up the venue? Like, all of those big questions. So, yeah, just giving people grace is.
Yeah, I'm so fortunate that, like, got to get married during that time because I think it really was, like, a very, like, it just really helped a lot, I guess, like, be able to feel like I could connect more with the couples of what that actually, you know, is like, and kind of like knowing what they're going to go into and how you can better support them and be there for them during that day. Cause
and it just totally like elevates your client experience.
Oh yeah.
Like you don't have to be married to be a wedding vendor. It's not a requirement, but I feel like it definitely just kind of gives you like the inside scoop
of
the emotions and everything. So
yeah. And it gives you like perspective on like, oh, this is like what, because like anytime you walk into a wedding, I always try to get the vibe. I'm like, is this stress? Has it been stressful? Has it been chill? Like what's the vibe going into it? Because there's so many different like, you know, like feelings that you're having. Like that day, like my wedding day, like it rained a ton the night before, and like we realized, wow, this church is really hard to find. And like people were ended up like way over in another spot. Like, and so there's so many times where I try to like go into a wedding, like, all right, like I'm going to figure out like what, and like, how can I be here to help? Even if it's just like, you know, moving some chairs or something like that. Like, or
yeah. And I think I feel that too. Like, not that it didn't help before, but like I felt like I better knew what I could help with, whether or not they knew about it or not, just because I knew that was going to help them a lot. And something that actually Mark, like that DJ at your wedding, really taught me too was like, he's like, you know, like I try to like, it's really, you know, if you can like get like the appetizers or something, or a drink for like
I try to do that too.
The bride and groom and stuff. And like, that was something where I was like, it's so simple. And I was like, I can't believe I didn't really think that. But like, then when I had my own wedding and I thought back, I'm like, oh wow, like it was kind of hard to get a drink. Like it was hard to, like I didn't have any of our appetizers. Like I didn't, you know, and that's something too that really stood out to me is like, as a vendor, like being able to just better help that the bride and groom. Because more than likely, like it is hard to get a drink. Like, seriously, someone has to get it for you because, like, you, especially during the family photos and all that. I mean, you're not leaving. Like,
you're stuck for like 20 minutes.
Like I don't know, and like that's when I wanted to drink was after the ceremony. Not even like just anything. I just need some water. Because like you just went through that, and like it was a really hot day too.
And honestly, like now that you reminded me, like that was something that stood out so much too about you guys because Mark did that for us. He had our drink waiting for us, and I'm like,
Mark is a freaking genius on that. When he told me that, I was like, bro.
We had him on the podcast, and we were like, wow.
I was like, bro, that is so smart. And then we all started doing it after that.
He was making me feel bad I don't do this.
Yeah, I know, right? He was like, dude, I'm telling you, dude, like it really means a lot to them. And then I did it. I did it like the next weekend, and that person was like, you know, something that really stood out to me is that you got us a drink. I'm like, gosh, Mark, you're a genius.
Not gonna lie, like we like tips too as vendors. Like we already had envelopes.
Oh yeah.
But as soon as he did that, I'm like, we gotta Venmo this dude more.
No way. Oh my god.
So good. Well, on top of the party he threw us, but it definitely like that client experience as a bride. I'm like, okay, they deserve more. Like they go above and beyond for you. So it just makes you feel good.
That's so cool.
And like going along with that too, like second shooting for other photographers. I had Angie Russell's second shoot for me this year, and she brought a cooler for me.
Oh, that's
of
awesome.
Cold drinks and like just making sure I was taken care of because we barely drink water on a wedding day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dang,
that's
like
really
she
nice.
went right like above and beyond. So I'm like, I need to do this for the other photographers I help and shoot for.
Yeah. Something I did this summer was I bought a bunch of like little like chargeable fans and like one that's like a coffee cup with water in it and like spritzes you. And I kind of I'll give it to the bridal party while they're doing like especially like July or August weddings like where it's like ungodly hot. I'm like, here, pass this around, and they're like, this is amazing, and
that's
like
so cool
just stuff like that where you're like, and I've lost them all this summer, but they were like $5, you know.
But it's just the small things that literally make it so memorable that you don't even think about. Like you said, like Mark blew your mind with that.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, why wasn't I doing this? Like I'm the worst.
Right. Yeah. But that's another thing too. Like after I went to this conference, going back to that, you can't let those things overwhelm you. Because you guys are kicking ass and you're doing good. It's just those small things that you're like, oh, I should have been doing that. Now you can do it, and it makes things better.
Yeah, and we do. We genuinely want it to be the best day for them. And
and like even like now, like 5 years into it, going into my 6th year of wedding DJing. Like I'm like I preemptively think of things like, especially if it's like a place I've been to before. I'm like, oh, I know, like I need to bring a third speaker for this weird angle, like because every venue is so different. And like some of them, they'll put you off to this room where like there's like 2 dinner tables, but the head table's like in a whole other room, and you're like, this sound is not going to carry over there. Like, and so being able to just to like preemptively be like, all right, this is taking a lot longer, so let's do this, this, and this. Like being able to.
That is something I found. Like I do like bridal shows and stuff, and that's always something I feel like that gets brought up a lot. Is like brides do tend to care a lot about like if someone like has been to that venue before, or like seen it and everything. So I think it definitely is like an advantage. I think there's other ways to do it also than physically being there. I think like a video and stuff help, just to be able to see the layout. For DJs, like photography is different because you guys, like you said, with the shade and all that, I don't know how you capture that, but but yeah, I think it's important. I think that if for bridegrooms like listening to this podcast, like I do think like if your vendor hasn't been there, like maybe like just giving them a layout or like telling them about the layout could go a long way.
Definitely.
And it really would. I think it would help out a lot. And I'm sure for photography, like if you haven't been to one, but like they're like, oh yeah, they have like stuff in their field of like 4 photography moments. I'm sure that would be like a huge deal.
And like, I feel like too, I'm really grateful that, because I haven't been to a lot of venues. I mean, there's so many in Ohio.
Yeah.
But it's okay if we haven't been. But at the same time, like the barn on Enchanted Acres and like Celeste's entire 3 venues down there, she's amazing because she'll literally come up to me like, here is where the sun is. Here's these spots during sunset. And just telling me like what are the best things. Yeah, like that helps so much.
Yeah,
because
super
you don't
great
have to think about it.
And that's actually that's actually the venue I was referring to when I was thinking of like things that are in there like on the property for a moment, like for photography.
Yeah.
I think
they're amazing. But like just those things when venue owner like Cindy at Peacock Ridge does the same thing. She'll be like, hey, over here, this is where this is. Or like the barn on Walnut Drive, or like this field's gorgeous. And like I don't know. It definitely elevates because then you don't have to stress. You don't have to run around looking for spots if you've never been there before.
Where's
so it's like,
the light good? Where's like what is going to be a pain to like get them there, like because I know that's always hard, like getting the bride, especially like just maneuvering the bride and the bride dress. Like,
do we have a golf cart?
Without it getting like ruined immediately. Yeah, it's always that's a challenge.
But that's actually how we found you, because you were at the White Rose Barn, and that's how we found like the wedding show. So I'm like, that helps. Yeah, like as a bride to DJ. Like it was so hard to pick because videos like we see it, but I like experiencing things. So just experiencing like your vibe and you talking to us, it was like, okay, he's cool. We're gonna book him.
That was a cool bridal show. Yeah, I like that, and I like that venue too. But I do like bridal shows a lot. I do encourage like brides to go to the bridal shows and everything. I think it's worth it.
It's a good place to get ideas. And
I do feel like they're going lower in attendance, and I'm not sure. Since COVID, like pre-COVID, I felt like they were always pretty booming. I do feel like it's gone down, which is like sad because I do feel like they are a great thing to even just get inspired, or maybe see something that you could have at your wedding that you weren't sure that you just never would have thought of otherwise. And there's not. I mean, I guess there's really not a ton of them. I feel like there's less of them, but
Today's Bride is pretty much the major one.
That's
here.
A big one, and that's a good, good one for a lot of stuff. I think that can also be overwhelming at the same time. There are smaller shows and stuff. That venue. I guess I could like plug in some that I know of. So if Beloved Ohio is one. If people want to do that, then you got Today's Bride, which is going to be your biggest ones, which is like up in Cleveland or Akron. But those ones, or there are some like smaller ones that like venues themselves,
have their, like,
will offer
venues.
Yeah, like I'll be at the one this Sunday at the Ponds. If you guys have been there. So definitely keep in mind, or just try to take a look at the whatever venue you did book, see if they ever have like an open house or something like that. Because a lot of times we do bridal shows, and a lot of people that go to the bridal shows are the people that are getting married in that venue that we're at, and it just gives another time to get some inspiration, brainstorm, or whatever. Just gives another reason to easily go and view your venue
Oh,
again.
definitely. And I feel like too, like the vendors that are there, I feel like have a good connection with the venue
For
owner.
sure,
So
for
then you're
sure.
like, okay, now they have a preferred list, and now you're
Yeah.
on that preferred list, and now you're
Yeah.
getting more couples.
For sure.
It all builds on itself.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the preferred vendor
Yeah.
list. That's been really cool.
Me too.
Really blessed to be on quite a few. So
Yeah. So what's the toughest lesson you've learned doing
we're getting
weddings?
deep.
Yeah, really hit me with that one. Oh gosh. They make me think. I don't know, like for myself or like in general.
Just in general. Yeah. Could be learning from somebody else's mistakes or something.
I don't know. I think the one thing, like, maybe it's because I just got done with October, and we all know how crazy October is for photographers. I think it's just like, it's okay to take a day off.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned is to
That's hard.
like your mental health is just as important as delivering those photos before the due date. Like it's just as important.
Wow, that's really good. That is really hard to do, especially
is.
September and October.
Yeah.
I feel it. You know, and I'm not able to DJ more because I have like some head injury issues and stuff. But even like, you know, overseeing like all the weddings that we do, I mean, there's quite a bit. You know, we probably do. I kind of figured it up. I think we do like 50 or 60 like weddings in those 2 months. So it's like a lot.
It's a ton, dude.
Yeah.
Between like all the DJs.
Like I
Between
do 30
everybody.
a year. I can't
Yeah.
imagine.
So,
Wow.
but yeah, you know, and so even though I'm not physically doing it, like it is, like, it's a lot of weight and a lot of people and it is hard to like take that day off, and especially like you want to be so available to everybody, and that's something I think too for brides and grooms as much as you want. You know, if there's a period of time where it's like maybe it took a day for someone to get back to you or whatever, like having grace during that time frame, I think is really important. And for photography, I think is even different too, because you have your work, like a DJ, our workload stops after that day, but your guys' goes on. So I'm sure that I could not imagine like during those busy months, you must have a lot of work that piles up quickly. And that's got to be really tough.
It is. And like I think too, the hardest part for me to balance is like my husband works Monday through Thursday. So his weekends are like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, wow.
But that's my go time.
Yeah.
So it's like my weekend, I like taking Mondays or Tuesdays, but it's hard because I'm like, okay, you know, I can't spend time with him.
Yeah.
So like also too, like setting boundaries for myself was something I had to learn the hard way, because like I'm the type of person, like I have anxiety so bad that I push myself to get physically sick. Like, so I'm like, okay, Emily, you can't keep like busting out these pictures from like 2 a.m. until 2 a.m. Like you can't do that anymore. So just like taking a step back, taking that off day, even though you don't like, you feel bad by doing it, and just like allowing it. Be like, you're allowed to not respond to couples after 5 o'clock.
Isn't it so crazy?
It's okay.
I feel so guilty. Like someone needs something and can't get back, or like.
I utilize the schedule email a lot, like the night before. Like I'll answer a lot of emails the night before, but I'll set them to send at like 8 a.m. the next day. That way I'm like, that way I can.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Smart.
Clock
That's
out.
pretty
for
cool.
See, I don't know. I've like conditioned myself to not even like, I took the notifications off my phone.
Oh yeah.
Because it was so bad that I'm like, okay, they just email me. I have to wait like a minute or two and they'll email me back. But I'm like, no, like they can wait till the morning.
Yeah.
Like it was probably just a late night thought, and they're not like waiting at their phone for me to respond.
Yeah.
Like, it's
but I feel
okay.
you. Like I do struggle with the anxiety part too. And that anxiety of like, oh my gosh, like if I don't, they're gonna think that like I'm not getting back to them and stuff.
Right.
I think sometimes I feel like that too, because you know, you see those like Facebook groups and stuff and all that. Like there's all these horror stories of people like not getting back and whatever. And I just don't like, I don't want anyone to have that feeling, you know.
But if you don't,
but it's not the same thing at all. Like it's not even. It's just like it's just
Carson's
stupid.
over here like, I haven't responded in 24 hours,
Like,
and then the people are posting.
They're
My
like,
photographer ghosted me for 6 months.
we don't know if they're gonna show up on Saturday.
Yeah, that's totally different. But
right. It's just like I don't know. I quickly go to the extreme in my head.
I do too. But it's okay. Like you're allowed to take the day off, and even like muting your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I still do it. I'll still respond at like 9 o'clock if I have to.
Right.
Yeah, there is a lot. Like, and it's hard to like. It is hard, like when you own your business and like you're like you have to tell yourself to shut it off for a second or something. Like it's hard.
Yeah, and communication is like. So I would say, you know, for Headtrauma Entertainment, that would be the biggest. That was one of the big things that I feel like chose to like really put an emphasis on and focus, and was communication. And it's not just because of this industry, but I don't know if you've ever, like, you know, you try to get a hold of a business sometimes and it takes forever, you know, and it's just like so frustrating. And that's just something that try to choose to like really focus on and try to be better than everyone else at, is just like getting back in a timely manner, and it has with within reason.
Right. Like I think like a 24 to 40 hour
We're 24.
time,
Yeah, we're 24 to 48 hours.
Right,
So like,
totally normal. But I totally get like it's frustrating if you have to sit there on hold for like Best Buy or something. You're like, okay, like this isn't an issue.
on.
Or you just try to call somebody and they just don't answer or get back to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't. Yeah, it's just like as annoying, and it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
I could get passionate about
Yeah.
this. I guess this is
too.
why it became the biggest thing.
One of my
for me.
favorite things is that the new iOS 16, like you have an option on text messages to like you hold down on the message and you can do it as unread, and that way did you know that? Yeah.
I use that a lot
because I did have the thing where I'd be like, I need to respond to them, but I can't right now. But I open the text because I hate that notification. But I just kind of embrace it.
I didn't even know that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just blew your mind.
I do it too, like just to because I judge the priority of it. Like if it's something where someone needs me right away, then like okay, I'll get back to it. But if not, then then I'm gonna continue doing. If I'm in the middle of a task, finishing that.
Right.
But
Another thing too that I like doing is like I know you could set your notifications and to have them delivered later.
Oh yeah, that's
so like
that's
putting
important.
the privacy setting on, like on wedding days, I literally only allow if I have the DJ's contact, like other vendors to text me and the couple, but I'll put everyone else on silent. I'm like, I don't need to see your stuff until I get home.
Does that help you like keep you focused? Like,
yeah, because like too, like I have the timeline as my screensaver, just so it's like a quick
that's
little
a good way to do it.
check it really quick. So if I have like a million emails and I have to like X out
that's
through all of
smart.
them.
Yeah,
that's so.
Well, now it's
smart.
cool because I don't know if you've used this yet, but like
I don't know. You're probably gonna blow my mind again.
there's different. You can pick different.
Oh yeah.
Different screensavers different screensavers on the new iOS.
Dude, I am behind the game.
So you can make. I need to start doing that, but
yeah. See, Carson, look at all my cows.
Oh my gosh, you weren't playing around.
I
like-
wasn't.
Yeah, you have different kind of like that. You can that way you don't have to totally switch your screen, like your.
Yeah, I literally
lock
have like a
screen.
timeline from the Cabo wedding still in here.
Oh, that's cool.
That really helps.
Oh yeah, it does. But like just setting those boundaries. Like if you get an email for an inquiry, you're so excited, but I'm like, just wait. Like inquiries, I'm a little bit more quick about.
Yeah, because you gotta
want. And I probably don't let those go 48 hours unless it's crazy.
Yeah.
But like, if a couple's like, "Hey, we want to add this to our family list. Can you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah." That's all you're gonna get from me right now because I'm at a wedding. But
yeah.
That's why I love using Google Docs, and I make them like share. Like I have like on like collaboration because they can go in and edit and like add stuff to it, which is super nice.
I just use everything through HoneyBook.
Oh
like
yeah,
the timeline management
we love
system.
HoneyBook.
Yeah.
I'll just put
HoneyBook's
everything
awesome.
in one place, so that way they don't even have to like
that's
worry about two
HoneyBook's
things.
a game changer.
It really is. It really is, especially when it comes to your QuickBooks.
Oh yeah.
Game changer.
Yeah, I love HoneyBook.
Yeah. Well, sweet. Well, any parting thoughts? Anything you want to?
What
tell
is one
people where
piece
they
of
can find.
advice? Or no, what's one piece of advice you'd give a couple like planning their wedding right now?
Planning a wedding.
Anything that you feel like is really important.
Book a videographer, hands
Nice.
down. I mean, that's not just like in general because the amount you have horror stories of people not working well together. But at the end of the day, just going back and seeing not just the pictures, but like hearing what people said, hearing like the emotions. Like one thing that was huge to me is my grandpa's going to be 95.
Oh wow.
And Ashley McComb actually did our video, and at the end she put in a little note from him. I'll cry. But like that is so huge. So like just book the dang videographer because it's so life changing. And you're never gonna get those moments back that you can hear. So just pay the extra money.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my biggest tip.
No, I really like that. I'm a big fan of videography myself.
It's just game changing. Like even if it's not like a cinematic art piece, you just still have like your vows now, or you can hear them.
And I think even if you're, of course, like it's just like everything, it's you get what you pay for type thing. But I would say like even if your budget doesn't allow, something top of the line, I still think it's really a nice thing to have.
Oh yeah,
even
and
if for what you can afford.
and there's still
comfortably.
people starting out
Yeah.
that would love that chance, and it's still like I said, doesn't need to be
No.
a 10 grand videographer, just
Yeah.
something small. Like
Yeah.
it's worth it. So I
Yeah.
think that's my biggest piece of advice, and that also it's like it's okay if things don't go as planned.
Yeah.
Like that's life. It's gonna happen. But
Yeah. I always say as long as like you roll with it, like as a bride and groom, like if you're like something isn't happening, you know, right away or something's behind, like just take it and like people look to the bride and groom, and like if they're stressing out, everybody's kind of on edge. And so if you're like, yeah, whatever, then
Right.
that's fine. Like
Yeah.
people aren't gonna notice if you didn't do, your shoe game. Like no one's gonna.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Exactly.
No one's ever gonna no one's gonna know that except for you and the DJ or
Yeah,
the-
no one knows
like,
anything that you planned.
yeah.
Like
They are
Just take
coming
your
into
time.
this wedding 100% blind for the most part. Like
Right.
I go into a wedding and I'm like, oh, this is happening because I have a
Mhm.
schedule, but none of your guests like are expecting you to do,
Yeah.
like even
Mhm.
garter and bouquet and stuff. Like there are people that just don't do them and nobody cares.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And like another thing too, sorry, this came to mind, like enjoy being each
Mm.
other's fiancés. Like that's a one-time thing. I mean, depends if you decide to get married again. But like
Yeah.
like you're each other's fiancés one time. Like
Mhm.
that's your title for like, I don't know, the year or two that you have planning. Just enjoy it, date each other. Like just make priority for each other on top of how stressful wedding planning is.
Yeah.
Just take that time
I love that.
and book the videographer.
Yeah.
And me as your photographer. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell people where they can find you.
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, my website. I don't know, everywhere. I'm not on any of like the Knot or anything.
What
Oh.
would they put in? Like just
Oh,
Emily Warfield?
Yeah, Emily Warfield Photography.
Cool,
I'll
cool.
pop up. So
Nice.
I'm everywhere besides those fancy
And
platforms.
if you're going somewhere
Sweet.
cool,
Take
like,
me.
Yes.
let her know.
You are in a different
She's willing to
country.
travel.
Let's go on ahead and let's get her booked.
Yeah.
Yep. We're currently. I can't say too much, but me and another photographer friend are currently planning some fun stuff out of state.
Ooh.
Cool.
So we'll go anywhere you want us to.
Nice.
We're staying tuned.
Yeah.
Go anywhere. So take
Awesome.
me with you.
Well, Emily, we appreciate you coming
Yes,
on.
thank you so
and,
much.
Yeah, we're excited
Thanks
that
so
you
much for having me.
came on to the pod. This is our new little studio, so we're
Yeah. Thank you.
we're
for being
excited to
here.
get this thing rolling. But we appreciate you, and one more applause.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so cheesy.
this is the Wedding Workflow Podcast. We got Carson Parmenter,
Yes. Thank you very much,
And-
Carson.
Adam Robb.
Yeah.
And we'll
Absolutely.
see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Wedding Workflow Podcast. Join us next Wednesday for another episode. And if you've enjoyed our show, please leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts to help us move up in the rankings. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Wed Workflow Pod. And you can find us on Facebook at The Wedding Workflow. Also, please send us an email with any questions or topics you'd like us to cover at theweddingworkflow@gmail.com. And we will see you next week.